So last Friday morning for the daily mass at 7:45, I stood up here and proclaimed the gospel, and I looked down as I'm looking down right now, and I was noticing the Advent wreath, and I was noticing the three candles that were lit for the first, second, and third week of Advent. And then I saw the fourth Sunday of Advent candle standing tall and proud and unlit. And I, for a moment there, kind of felt sorry for that candle, because these other three candles get to shine brightly for a few weeks at a time there. And this fourth Sunday of Advent candle gets to shine for about a day and a half. Last year it was even worse. It only shined for the morning masses because Christmas Eve was on Sunday last year. And it's almost like, Christmas is encroaching upon this fourth Sunday of Advent. I mean, we already have the trees up. It's like it's just kind of oppressing this fourth Sunday candle, and the candle just like shouts out, "Leave me alone and let me shine for a while." But no, we're not going to let it shine for a while, because tomorrow is Christmas Eve night. We're going to be all ready in hastening toward Christmas. But when did we start hastening toward Christmas? About the day after Halloween, right? We were hastening toward Christmas. In the gospel, Mary hastens to the hill country to take care of her cousin Elizabeth. In many ways, it's a good line to have in our gospel on this final week of Advent, because we truly do hasten onward to many things. In many ways, we live our lives in kind of a dualism. We live our lives in two different places. First of all, we live our lives oftentimes in the past, with regrets about what we did or should have done differently or better, and we have regrets about how we lived and the things we did to people and all these things. And then oftentimes we live with the anxiety of the future, what is going to come, and we worry about next week, next year, next month, what's going to happen to my family, my health, whatever. So we regret the past, we worry about the future, and that takes up a whole lot of our time. But what about the right now? What about the present? How do we experience what is happening right now in this moment? Or in the moment of what's going to happen today? What's happened this morning, later today? Or how do we just live in the present moment? This fourth Sunday of Advent, this candle is lit for just a few hours today, and it's brightly shining right now. And we got to be careful not to miss what is taking place right now, right before us. Because like I say, oftentimes our minds and our hearts are in other places. And just to give you one example of something that happens a lot. But back in 2003, I've told you about the pilgrimages I've gone on to Poland and in Italy. And in 2003, we were supposed to have had our little group, a little audience with Pope John Paul II. He used to meet with groups of pilgrims after his morning mass in the chapel. And that Pope Benedict and Pope Francis don't do that, but John Paul did. And we were supposed to have a little meeting with him, a little blessing, but he decided to take this trip to Spain kind of on the last minute, so we got our schedule all messed up. But somehow we had an in, and as a result, the last day, just hours before we left, we had an opportunity to receive a little blessing from him right before he began his general audience in St. Peter's Square outside. And so the Pope Mobile comes along, and sure enough, we are right at the very beginning there, and it stops right in front of our little group. And we're just really close to the Holy Father, just like 5-10 feet. And everybody, what do? This is before smartphones. We put up our cameras, and we're going to take a picture of the Holy Father. And this little Italian priest, who was kind of like his MC, says, "Put down your cameras. This is the Pope," And it's like, wow, he was absolutely right. We were missing the experience of the Holy Father right in front of us because we were so in tune about getting our picture of the Pope. So we put our cameras down, and the Pope said a few words in Italian, not in English, and then he gave us his blessing, and then he moves on, and then we ran to the airport. But it's even gotten worse than that now, right? Because when we go to an event, and we want to take in an event, or we see an important person, or so we go to a play or a football game or something like that, what are we doing? We have our smartphones out, and we're like this, right? We're trying to get the best portrayal of what is happening for posterity so that we can look at it when? Sometime in the future. But when we're looking through our smartphones, what are we doing? We're missing the event that is taking place right before our eyes, and we don't experience it. So the next trip that I took to Europe, I didn't take my camera and I didn't take my cell phone. I took my cell phone, but I didn't have it on. And I took no pictures, not one. And I just went in and experienced the trip and the pilgrimage as it unfolded. And it was so much better than the first experience in 2003. I highly recommend that. If you go on a trip, turn off your phone and just experience what is happening as it happens before you. Because, see, we need to do that more often. We need to pay attention to what's happening right now in the present moment. It's so important for us because God desires to give us so many things, but we're missing it because we're either worried about the past or worried about the future and not paying attention to what is happening right now. It is the fourth Sunday of Advent for about a day and a half. And I would encourage you to really live in the moment in this next day and a half. Pay attention to the people that are in front of you, your family, your friends, or maybe at the grocery store. For that person that's in the grocery store line and the stores are going to be really crowded, they're in the line of 15 items or less and they have 23, all right? That's going to be an opportunity for you to pray for that person, that they will be better at math next time, right? Or many times I've said, if the person cuts you off on the freeway, God is giving you an opportunity to make that driver a better driver by praying for them. So pay attention to the people that are in front of you and the needs that they have, and maybe how you can intercede for them in prayer or provide some need for them, or just smile at them and converse with them. Maybe they haven't talked to anybody all day, and maybe that person is you. But to pay attention to what is really happening before us right now. And then I would encourage you to carve out a little bit of time of silence today or tomorrow to really take in the fourth Sunday of Advent and take in what Mary does. Mary is fulfilling the promise of the Lord, and she makes haste to go to her cousin Elizabeth. And at the end of the gospel that we don't have here today, the end of the whole narrative, it says Mary remained with her for 3 months and then she returned home. During that 3 months, Mary was very attentive to her cousin, who was having a child at an advanced age and probably had to do a lot to help her. Mary was attentive to her during those 3 months because she was there and present to her need, to in any way that she needed it. And we need to do the same, to pay attention to those who are around us, those who are in need, because God has placed us there. It's not by happenstance or coincidence. It's generally we're there for a reason, to maybe make the situation better, more prayerful, more lively, but to bring His presence to them through our own lives. Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever. Amen.